Hey guys, fancy meeting you here. So this is the coroner's conclusion. I'm going to play some footage while we wait for the conclusion to come in. So for those who weren't in the stream earlier on, we heard this morning from Nicola's GP. We also heard from the mental health person who went to visit Nicola during the welfare check on the 10th of January. We learned that she'd fallen on that evening, and the day after she was still suffering from what sounds like a mild concussion to me, some nausea and feeling dizzy, etc. Concussion is horrible. I've had concussion. I had concussion for 3 weeks once. I didn't bother to go to the doctors. I probably should have done, but yeah, my brain's messed up anyway. So, but Nicola, she went to the emergency room. She was sent to the hospital for a CT scan, which came back normal. That served as a wake-up call, according to Nicola's sister and partner. And Nicola had put her life back together. She'd had a blip. She'd had an alcohol issue in the past. She had a blip over that Christmas, which ultimately resulted in that welfare check. Her sister called an ambulance. Nicola was mad at her sister for calling the ambulance, thought she'd overreacted. So after that, it served as a wake-up call, and Nicola started getting her life back on track. She was working hard. She was working hard to build up a business. The day before she disappeared, she was really happy because she'd landed a good deal with one of the local mortgage companies, and she was acting as their sole mortgage advisor. So everything was going well. She had plans for the immediate future. She'd planned to take her daughter, one of her daughters, street dancing on the Saturday morning, so the day after she disappeared. And also a play date had been arranged. She'd arranged to go to a social event with her friends on the Saturday night. So she had plans for the immediate future. So nothing signifies to me that she was suicidal on that Friday morning. A statement issued by Nicola's family's barrister, lawyer, and I'll read from it for those who weren't in the stream. They asked for an accidental death conclusion. It's perfectly normal, I've got to say, perfectly normal for the coroner to ask the family or a representative of the family to suggest a conclusion, to be asked, what do you think? That happened to me when I was a witness as a family member to someone's suicide back it happened in 2015, but the inquest wasn't until 2016. And I was asked by the coroner what did I think happened, as you know, as a result of seeing the evidence. What did I think happened? And I had only one conclusion, and that was suicide. And the coroner agreed. The coroner doesn't have to agree, however, so that has to be made clear. So I'm going to read from what the family's barrister said for those who weren't in the stream. Oh, no, I'm not. We've got an update. We've got an update here. Hold on. I think we have anyway. Oh, maybe we've not. I'll check the other place. I'll check Lank's post. Oh, no. I thought we had an update. We don't. We don't. No, we definitely don't. Okay. So I'm reading from the family barrister's statement, which is Sophie Cartwright, QC, makes a submission to the coroner regarding possible conclusions available to him. Coroners are encouraged where possible to use what is known as a short form conclusion in various contexts, as opposed to This is so bad grammar. Such as accidental, misadventure, suicide, drug-related. Miss Cartwright QC tells the coroner the conclusion he should return is one of accidental death. She argues the phone evidence, post-mortem, expert evidence, and eyewitness accounts all point to Nicola's death being an accident. What occurred on the riverbank at probably sometime shortly after 9:18 a.m. was a tragic accident for Nikki. It's clear from the evidence that 9:18 Nikki increased the volume on the Zoom call, and it appears that what happened after that must somehow be linked to the location of the dog harness. It's the dog. It's the location of Willow that people need to focus on. Why aren't people focusing on Willow? Even the family. Found on a steep part of the slope. There have been much rumour, speculation, suspicion. The family are of the view that has been allayed by the evidence. The family are comforted by the evidence that Nikki's death would have been very shortly after she entered the water. The barrister urges the coroner to find at approximately 9:30 a.m. Nicola Bulley, on the balance of probabilities, died in the river due to an accidental death. She urges the coroner to consider that the screams heard are not connected with Nicola's death and says they do not have relevance to how Nikki came to her death. So I don't agree with that last statement. We don't know. We don't know what those screams were. It was just one scream. So we don't know. But while we wait, okay, we've got an update. The coroner is due to return to court to deliver his conclusion in around 10 minutes. We're now being told that upon completion of that, statements will be delivered to the media on behalf of Nicola's family and Lancashire Constabulary. Detective Chief Superintendent Pauline Stables will speak on behalf of Lancashire Constabulary, and Solicitor Terry Wilcox will read a statement from Nicola's family. Courtroom is assembling. Courtroom is assembling. Okay, here we go. The chamber is now filling back up, ready for Dr. Adley to deliver his verdict. Before he adjourned to consider his decision, Sophie Cartwright implored him on the family's behalf to record a conclusion of accidental death. This site is so annoying. Okay. Camera crews now set up outside County Hall, awaiting for police and family statements. Okay, Dr. Adley, Senior Coroner for Lancashire and Blackburn with Darwin, has returned to court and began summing up. He opens by reminding everyone involved that the inquest is not dealing with police operational responses of Nicola's disappearance. Oh, all these adverts are driving me insane. So annoying. Right, I'll check Lank's post because they were updating quicker earlier on. We've got conclusion imminent. I'm just constantly like updating. These adverts. Dear me. Dear me. Exactly, Willow was telling all. She was. She was running between the bench and the river. She was telling all. People ignored her. I know. They won't, though. They will eventually. They will eventually. So I've not got an update there. They won't update until the statement's finished, obviously. Okay, started to recap the evidence that we've heard over the last couple of days. And we'll listen to the press briefing, obviously. We'll listen to that after this. So stay with the stream. This is the annoying part. This is the annoying part. Not getting any updates on this one. Right, these obvious adverts just need to do one. Nothing yet. No, that's not true. It could have. It could have recorded a heart rate if there was a heart rate. It ran out of charge on February the 4th. So a week. But it didn't record heart rate. But it potentially could have. Why would the dog harness be on the bank? I think, obviously, we'll never know for sure. I think she was bending down to put Willow's harness on, and she slipped and fell. Okay, so it was... it was recording, but it's not gonna record a dead person's bodily functions. No, I don't think it fell off the bench. It was halfway between the river and the bench. I think she got the harness to put it on Willow, and she slipped, and that's just where the harness fell. That's my assessment. Obviously, we'll never know for sure. Let's see if Lank's post has done a mini update here. Not yet. I know. I know. She could have gone in backwards. She could have gone in head first. We'll just never know. She could have slipped and kind of fallen in like arms and legs first and put her arms down or her legs down. We just don't know. But it was normal for her to take the harness off Willow. Absolutely normal. In a breed like a Springer Spaniel, you absolutely should take a harness off. As I've talked about in previous videos, I talked about it this morning, because of the risk of it getting snagged on bushes and stuff when they're flushing. Because they flush birds. Come on, Coroner, talk faster. Yeah, it will. It will be good to have a conclusion. Yeah. Yeah, easily. Just jumped up. And that bank, when I was there on the 6th of February, that banking was slippery. So, yeah, easily. Because, you know, these things happen. Like, I don't know how many times Tilly has knocked me over, like, just completely knocked me off my feet because she's big and she's bouncy. Now, a Springer Spaniel, think about Cassie's size. Cassie's a Springer Spaniel. They're not going to knock you clean off your feet so much as put you off balance. And then you slip. Just checking Twitter. Dare I check Twitter? Oh, dear me. The Nicola Bulley inquest really has brought the ghouls back out again. They've been told what happened, but nope, not satisfied. Not satisfied at all. Because it's an investigation. They don't release information during an investigation. That's the answer to that. Dear me. Oh, here we go. Coroner's summary timeline. Are you seeing this? All right, you are. Okay. Dr. Adley's now summing up the evidence which has been heard over the last 2 days. This includes Nicola was last seen alive by fellow dog walker Claire Chesholm on 9/10. 9/18, she adjusted the volume of her conference call. PC Keith Greenough examined Nikki's Fitbit device. It recorded steps in 15-minute segments. On January 27th, she walked 4,548 steps between 8 a.m. and 9:30. Between 9:15 and 9:30, she walked 273 steps. No further steps after 9:30. At 9:22, the Fitbit recorded a substantially increased heart rate. Penny Fletcher arrived at the bench at 9:33 and Nicola was nowhere to be seen, but Willow was found and the dog's harness was found between the bench and the river. Nicola was last seen alive at 9:10, interacted with her phone at 9:18, and Mrs. Fletcher found Willow at 9:33. This provides a maximum window of 15 minutes when Nicola went into the river. So I think it was 9:22 was the fall. I think, based on that. Got some more. Okay. Continuing to sum up the evidence, Dr. Adley said the riverbank has an almost vertical drop. It absolutely does. At the base, a stone wall has been built to prevent further erosion, and this provides no footholds or handholds. If you fell here, you would certainly enter the water. The opposite bank, 20 meters away, was also a difficult site to climb out. I think if you could manage to swim across, you could potentially get out on the opposite bank. But due to cold water shock, I just don't think Nicola had the opportunity to do that. On January 27th, the Environment Agency said the flow over the weir was 0.49 meters. When police did a construction of the weir height, was almost half this, but even at that level, it took a body over the weir. The flow on the river on the day Nicola died made it almost impossible to get out. Nicola would have been unable to reach the bottom of the river until she had travelled for at least 40 metres downstream. Two world-leading experts, Dr. Paddy Morgan and Professor Mike Tipton, said Nicola would have been overwhelmed by cold water shock after falling into the water. The water temperature was 3.6 degrees, would have elicited a powerful response in Nicola, not related to body size, but the rapid cooling of the skin. Nicola's clothing would not have slowed her response to cold water shock. And there's more. Adrenaline is released immediately, which can cause a person's heart rate to stop instantaneously. If this doesn't occur, there is an overwhelming urge to gasp. If Nicola's head was underwater, she could have inhaled 2 litres of water, which would have been a lethal dose. There was a good chance Nicola's first breath was underwater. Even if it was above the water, if she then became submerged, an increased heart rate and blood rate would have used oxygen at a rate where she would have lost consciousness within 48 seconds. However, this was lightly optimistic and would be more likely of being 30 seconds with increasing impaired consciousness. Such was the shock of immersion, Nicola would have been unable to stand up or float. She would have died before reaching the first point in the river where she could have touched the bottom. So the first point where she could have touched the bottom was where was it? Where did it say it? 40 meters. So 40 meters, what's that? About 50 yards, something like that. Okay, we've read that. Nothing else yet. Nothing else just at the moment. Yeah. I think once she'd fallen in, she was just, that cold water just hit her. And in those seconds where she had consciousness, maybe she was trying to swim over to the opposite bank. And that's how she ended up in the deep water. Because right at the edge where those rocks are, it's what, 2 to 3 feet. She could have stood up there right at the edge. But you just panic, don't you? And that's if she fell in without any injury or getting winded, which I don't think is likely, given just falling onto rocks. Like, it's just one of panic. Let's check the other side here. Let's see what they're saying. Okay, so between 9:18, 9:33, recapping expert evidence. No third-party involvement. Dr. Adley again confirms what was heard in the hearing yesterday, that there is no evidence of any third-party involvement in Nicola's death. The screams heard are dismissed as the time frame is not right. Now, we didn't hear what time those screams were at, though. So maybe the family and Dr. Adley are not considering that because they were in the wrong time frame. Like they weren't between 9:18 and 9:30. So it could have been anything. Kids, someone messing about. Could have been anything. Okay, got more here. Okay, wider circumstances. Just let me check I've not missed one. Okay. Dr. Adley is continuing to sum up the evidence. Nikki had no alcohol in her bloodstream at the time of her death. The cause of death. So remember, the cause of death is how you die, not why you die. So the cause of death was drowning. The RNLI's Float to Live campaign urges people to tilt their head back, relax, try to breathe normally, and spread yourself out. Such education may save the lives of other people who are unlucky enough to enter cold water. There's no way I'd be able to do that. I would literally panic because I hate water. It's one place on the earth where I could not save myself. On the possible involvement of third parties, all of the witnesses who were in the area did not note anyone suspicious in the area of the field where Nicola was walking. Detective Superintendent Nicola Smith said CCTV of 3 of the 4 entry points to the field shows nobody acting unusual. CCTV from the 4th point only shows one direction, but this also showed nobody. Police contacted the owners of 700 cars which passed the road and examined dashcam footage. Nothing unusual was spotted. Dr. Armour said there was no evidence Nicola was assaulted, nor that a third party was involved. Although 2 women heard a scream, it was not of the nature which caused concern and was some distance from where Nicola was. At the time they were heard, Nicola was probably already dead. Oh, so it was later than 9:30. Oh. Okay. Let's check the other one. Okay, here we go. Suicide ruled out. There is an absence of evidence that Nikki was contemplating suicide. Dr. Adley confirms his final conclusion that Nicola Bulley died an accidental death. So the manner of death is accident. The cause of death is drowning. There we have it, guys. There we have it. No evidence of how Nikki entered the water, with the position of the harness unexplained. He does, however, say he will change the date of the death to January 27th rather than when she was recovered from the River Wyre, February 19th. So I just think she was putting the harness on. I really do. And that's why it was there. So, cause of death, so how she died was drowning. Why she died, it was accidental death. The manner of death is accidental death. Yeah, absolutely, Beach Fairy. Absolutely. That's right. That's right. They've made that very, very clear. This is nothing to do with the police operation inquiry. This is how, why, when Nicola Bulley died. That's what the coroner is interested in. This inquest is about Nicola, not the police. The police are there as witnesses. So we heard from Detective Superintendent Rebecca Smith. We heard from a police diver. They are there as witnesses to give evidence as to what might have happened to Nicola. This is not, absolutely not, to do with the police. That's a separate, completely separate inquiry, and the results of that are due to come out sometime in the autumn. So, not yet. Hopefully. Because she wasn't contemplating suicide at the time. There's no evidence that she was contemplating suicide at the time of her death. So it doesn't matter if she had a mental health problem 2 weeks before. at that moment in time, she was not there's no evidence to suggest she was contemplating suicide. So the only conclusion that the coroner can draw on that's a very good observation. I hadn't thought of that. Probably Nicola turned up the volume of the call at 9:18 because she was putting the phone on the bench so she could harness the dog. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. That she was getting ready to go. And we don't know how quickly Willow comes. Like Cassie, sometimes she'll come immediately. Sometimes if there's, sniffs around that she wants to just finalize, she'll wait a minute. She'll hang around a minute. She'll play for time like a little kid. Tilly, no chance of coming immediately. No chance. So it might have taken a couple of minutes for Willow to come to Nicola to get the harness on. She might have wanted that last minute playing. And Nicola's just kind of standing there. She may have even been playing with Willow. And she's just slipped and fallen in. Sadly, absolute tragedy. Absolute, complete tragedy. And I really, really, really hope, that people will accept this. So this is a longer conclusion that's come from Lancs Live. Dr. Adley says the medical cause of death was drowning. He said it's likely Nicola entered the water at 9:22 a.m. when her Fitbit recorded a significant spike in her heart rate. He was unable to determine exactly why Nicola entered the water. Dr. Adley said on January 27th, around 9:22 a.m., Nicola Jane Bulley fell into the River Wyre and died almost immediately. He's now addressing each of the possible short-form conclusions. These are suicide. There is an absence of any evidence, excluding a couple of comments over Christmas treated as throwaway. There was no indication Nicola had any intention of taking her life. It's believed it would have been unusual for suicide, as she would not have left Willow, who was described as her third child. To leave her car keys in her pocket with her car in the school playground where her children would see it would be cruel. So there is no evidence to support this conclusion. There is no sign of natural causes. The only remaining conclusion is accidental death, and this is what is recorded by Dr. Adley. So there you go, guys. All right. I'm now going to try to find where they are talking to the media. So when you've absolutely, this is my view on it. When you have absolutely nothing, right? I'm going to use the Summer Wells case as an example. So the Summer Wells case has been going on for 2 years. So the then 5-year-old girl, for those of you not familiar with the Summer Wells case, happened in Hawkins County, which is in Tennessee, in the United States. Summer was 5 years old and she disappeared from outside of her home and has never been seen since, on the afternoon of June 15th, 2021. And we have virtually nothing to go off. Her parents have come out and spoken. Well, her dad particularly is very outspoken. But law enforcement has given us very little, apart from just a few snippets of fact. We know very little. So in cases like that, putting theories together makes sense because we've no idea, right? So I've covered the Summer Wells case almost since day one of the case, and I've covered every possible theory. Not the really wild ones. They've got to have some. They've certainly got to fit the facts, the few facts we do know, right? But it's fine. It's what the police will be doing, is theorizing and then trying to find evidence to support that theory. But when you've got a very clear case like this, then the conspiracy theories just are not necessary because they've got no basis in fact. None. And we've got more facts and more evidence than it's necessary to start theorizing. If only Willow could speak, I know. And there's so many cases where we say this, if only the dog could speak. Like in the Summer Wells case, they had several dogs at the time Summer disappeared. If only those dogs could speak. In the Watts case, we've got the little Dachshund Dieter. In the Alec Murdoch case, where where he shot to death his wife and his son, there was like several dogs in the kennels there, and if only they could speak. And there's so many more where dogs are present. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. All right, I'm going to try and find where they are speaking to the media. If anybody finds it, let me know. Oh, here we go. I do not believe the verdict from the coroner. Something just isn't right. Not into conspiracies. How did the poor woman's body get over the weir? No, they've explained. Oh, dear me. Oh, dear me. Can they just please give it a rest for 2 minutes? Right, where are they speaking to the media? Oh, have we got something here? Skip ad. Unmute.
At the Nicola Bulley inquest, where after a day and a half of hearing evidence, Dr. James Adderley has retired to consider his findings and deliver a conclusion. So today, and secured some good business for herself. Very much being wearing attending.
Could you hear that, by the way? Just let me know if you could hear that, because I want to play the press briefing. I don't know. I don't know. They live in the moment, so they're much less likely to suffer from things like post-traumatic stress disorder. They do live in the moment. However, they've got very, very good memories. And how they process, I just don't know. I just don't know. Exactly. The power of nature is fierce. The power of nature. People underestimate nature. Nature's beautiful, but it's also cruel. And okay, I want the press briefing. I want the press briefing. This site had them setting it up, so maybe they'll do it. Crew outside County Hall. If anybody finds a press briefing, let me know. Oh, God. The Nicola Bulley PSYOP coroner has concluded. Oh, I'm turning off Twitter. I can't cope. I can't cope with Twitter. I'm turning it off. Oh, dear. All right, let's see if I can just do a general search here. Maybe Sky News will do it. Oh, look at this. Look how clear that is. This is the dive video.
Currently stood at the bench where we believe Nicola was last before she may have entered the water. As you can see, as you go down to the river, it is quite a steep slope. The river is probably down about half a metre from the day when we attended, when she went missing. As you can get to the bottom here, you can see there's quite a large step down into the water.
Look at that.
See on the screen, there's a pile of rocks.
Look at that, how clear that is.
Those rocks constitute a wall that goes pretty much vertically straight down in the water to around 4 meters of depth. And then as you go out across the river, it slopes gently upwards with a sandy bottom towards the far bank. On the day in question, the water was 4 degrees Celsius. To somebody who's not in a dry suit, that would feel very, very, very cold, almost freezing. And if it fell in accidentally, I think the cold water shock would have probably taken effect, which causes you to gasp, can cause your muscles to seize, so you can't swim properly. No overhanging trees that could have really been a snag. And we searched in a line on the night she went missing, all the way from here down to the weir, as it gets shallower and shallower from here.
Wow. Wow.
Rocks.
Look at that. Oh, why are you not letting me pause?
A wall.
Look at that.
Goes pretty much vertically straight down in the water.
Imagine falling on
around
them.
4 meters of depth. And then as you go out across the river.
Wow. Yeah, it's absolutely treacherous. Treacherous. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to get your foot in, I don't think.
It slopes gently upwards with a pile of rocks.
You want that? If you fell down, right, onto those rocks, you're not going to be able to get your foot in. You're just going to be scrabbling about.
Around 4 meters of depth. And then
by that time,
across
you've
the river,
you've no chance.
It slopes gently upwards with a sandy bottom towards the far bank.
Absolutely no chance.
On the day in question, the water.
I mean, his camera obviously was way, way, way better than mine. I could only just make out the rocks. I'm going to take a screenshot of this.
Water to around 4 meters of depth, and then as you go out across meters of depth, and then
that bar's in the way.
As you go out across the river to around 4 meters of depth, and then
I'm going to blow that up later.
Out across the...
But it's horrible. No, right. No, the issue, this is the issue. The issue is that you've got those rocks, and then immediately after that line of rocks, you've got a very sheer drop down, and it's an artificial drop. It's a wall that's been built at some point in the past to stop the bank eroding. So once you get past that line of rocks, then it's a sheer drop down, and it's 4.6 meters deep. So unless you can manage to gain your footing very quickly within 20 to 30 seconds and stand up, you've got no chance, because you're unconscious because of cold water shock. Terrifying. Now, when I took a video, I could just about make out, I said on my video from the 27th of March, 26th of March, that it looked like there was a sheer drop. Now, I could only just make out the rocks, but it looked to me, because it went from just being able to visualize the rocks to just black. And I said, I think there's a sheer drop down. And that police video has absolutely confirmed it. So you falling, however you fell, whether you fell backwards or forwards or sideways, it doesn't matter how you fell, right? You're falling onto those rocks. So by the time you've managed to steady yourself, you're already losing consciousness because of cold water shock. So let's see what else has been released. Let's have a look on YouTube. Oh, here we go. Here we go, guys. Press conference. I'll mute my mic once this wants to come out. Can you hear this okay? So I'm streaming this from Mail Online. Yeah, we can't be nannied all the time. However, I will note that the opposite side, so you've got the bench and a fence immediately to the right of the bench, and then you've got...
everyone ready to go, folks? Be here in about 1 minute. So we've got Terry Wilcox, who's the solicitor on behalf of the family, and Detective Chief Superintendent Pauline Stables, who's our head of crime, coming out. So Terry will read a statement first, family statement, and then Pauline will read a brief statement for Lancashire Constabulary. Thank you.
All right, so that's our 1 minute warning. Yeah, mobility with heavy wet clothing, yeah. Yeah. And she was wearing wellies, like rubber boots, and they're terrible for grip, because I've got some virtually the same as what Nicola was wearing, and they're terrible for grip. Yes, they're waterproof, but they're terrible for grip. So when I did my little demo, this was before I'd even visited St. Michael's, I did my little demo in the creek near me, and stepping into water and mud, and once your wellies have filled up, it was really difficult to take a step, and that was a few inches of water, because your wellies just fill up with mud. Go and watch it. I think it was February 4th. I think I did the video, because it was the Saturday before I went to St. Michael's. I went on the 6th. The UK doesn't waste time. No, they don't. They don't. They just get on with it. I will say, though, it's a horrible place to do a press conference, because it's a busy road, and it's very close to the train station. You heard a train go by then. It's like within a few hundred meters of the train station. So it's a very busy area in the middle of Preston. So hopefully the microphones are good. So for those just coming in, the cause of death was drowning. The manner of death was accidental. And I think the coroner has done a very good summary. So regardless of what people are saying about it was a psyop, I think the inquest has been done very well. But I have put in a freedom of information request to the coroner's office for all the stuff that they presented. at the inquest and the coroner's report and correspondence and things like that. So they've got 20 working days to reply to me. So let's wait and see what they send. What they send. BCTV. It may have lapsed. I don't know. I can't see. Here we come. Right, guys. Here we come.
Good afternoon. I've been asked by the Bulley, Ansell and Cunningham family to read a statement on their behalf. The last few months have been extremely tough to process for our family. The emotional impact will stay long in our hearts, and whilst we'll never forget the loss of our Nikki, we will forever remember her as the brilliant mum, partner, daughter and sister that we all knew and loved so very much. The help and support we have received over these past few months has meant more than words can say. From family and friends to complete strangers, across the country and the world, thank you. Nikki and Paul's girls have already taken great comfort in the deeply thoughtful gifts sent to them in goodwill, and in time they will read the many cards which are filled with such kindness and love. Sadly, we feel the need to again raise and address the issue of social media. It's upsetting that we've continued to receive negative targeted messages and still widely inaccurate speculation being shared on numerous platforms. We encourage people to look at the facts, the evidence which is being heard during the inquest, and the conclusion reached by the coroner, to ignore any amateur views and opinions and be mindful of the impact words bring. We want to formally say thank you for the support and compassion showed by Lancashire Constabulary, His Majesty's Coroner, Dr. Aidley, his team, Sophie Cartwright KC of Dean's Court Chambers, and Terry Wilcox of Hudgell Solicitors. We now need to be allowed time to comprehend all of the events leading up to this day. We ask that you all respect our privacy and this time to let us rebuild and take time to heal. Thank you.
I want to start by saying that first and foremost, my thoughts today are with Nikki's family and loved ones. They have been through the most unimaginable ordeal over the last 6 months, and I can only hope that this inquest in some way will help by answering some of the questions that they had about what happened to Nikki on January the 27th, and will allow them to start the process of rebuilding their lives as best they can. I would like to thank Dr. Aidley for his careful consideration of the evidence presented at this inquest, as well as legal counsel and all of the witnesses for their participation. I hope that His Majesty's Coroner's clear and definitive findings will put an end to ill-informed speculation and conspiracy theories which have been so damaging to Nikki's family and the community of St Michael's. I would like to finish by bringing this back to Nikki. She was clearly a much-loved mum, partner, daughter, sister and friend. And I would once again like to express my deepest sympathy to all her loved ones. And I would ask that their privacy is respected at this time to allow them the time and space to rebuild and to heal. Thank you.
And there we have it. Short and sweet. Said everything that needed to be said. said everything that needed to be said there. Very short statement, yeah. I mean, what else can be said, really? It's just utterly devastating. And I really, really, really hope, that people who have had their pet theory, and that theory has been, that theory is now not relevant. I hope they will have the good grace, and I'm saying this with no snark, no sarcasm. I hope they'll have the good grace. If they don't want to issue an apology, that's up to them, that's on them. But they just go away, just kindly go away and leave the family, the friends of Nicola and the community of St. Michael's, leave them alone and just let them heal and repair their lives. You've got to remember that there's two little girls who are aged 9 and 6 years old who will now grow up without their mother and will be dependent on their father and their grandparents and their wider community to take up the slack that Nicola held to them. And it goes without saying that those little girls, even if they're not old enough just yet, but in a few short years will be able to look back on their mother's death and read some of the things that were said about their father, about their mother's friends, about the community. And all that does is adds to their pain. That's all. It offers nothing positive at all. So I really hope that people will accept the very clear evidence presented at the inquest that Dr. Adley has summarised. And there's no other conclusion that can be drawn other than Nicola sadly drowned because of cold water shock on a winter's morning, and her manner of death, why she died, was a tragic, tragic accident. There's no need, you're absolutely right, Gina, there's no need for any further speculation. Everything has been said and done. And I've put in a freedom of information request because I want to see what that evidence was, not because I doubt it, not because I want to try and find holes in it, but because I'm the kind of person who wants to see evidence, wants to understand it for myself. And because I couldn't go to the inquest, I've requested it, and I will share that. Now, there might be a lot of people who won't want to see it, and that's absolutely fine. But whatever I get, I will share. But that does not mean to say that I disagree with anything that has been said. I want to just offer, and I don't think the family or Nicola's friends will ever see this video, but I just want to offer my best wishes and my condolences. And I just want to say, take it from someone who has lost very close family members, that time is a great healer. It never changes the facts that happened, but what it does do is it helps you, time helps you cope. And it's a new normal, a very different place to be in for the rest of your life, but it is bearable and you will rebuild. And there's no reason why those two little girls can't go on to have very successful, happy lives. But they've got to be allowed the space and the time to heal, to be able to do that. And for today, those are my final words. And please, I just hope that if you still want to discuss conspiracy theories, either do them in your own head or do them offline. do them offline. And don't do it anymore online at all. All right, guys, that's all I'm going to say. I will be interested to see what else comes out, like in terms of videos and things like that. And like I said, the coroner's office has got 20 working days to reply to me, and whatever they send me, I will share. But other than that, this case for me is closed. This case for me is closed. And Nikki, sadly drowned through a very devastating, tragic accident. Just a simple trip, a stumble, normally has absolutely no consequence to your life, not even a bruise. But just very occasionally, those things end up in the most horrific way that you could ever imagine. And that's what happened. Yeah, peace out. Yeah. So thank you all for being respectful. And I know not everyone agrees, and it's up to you. It's up to you what you believe, but please, from now on, do it offline. All right, guys. Thanks to the mods. I don't think I had any donations, but that's absolutely fine. And I'll see you very soon. I'll see you tomorrow. There won't be a recorded video today, but I'll be back tomorrow with a recorded video. Bye, guys.